Welcome back to the latest edition of 30 for 30, a presentation by iCoach, which is myself, Marvin Nash. I'm joined with my guest today, Coach LC Cisneroz. He is the passing game coordinator. He is the recruiting coordinator, coaches wide receivers at the established Cleburne High School. Coach, welcome, man. Glad to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Coach and I ran into each other in this big world that we know is Twitter. We know we liked some similar tweets, got into a good conversation, and then we met up once again in a Bible study group that we meet exclusively on Zoom. And I was able to hear just a blessing of a story from a previous podcast, and Coach is going to share that with us today. It's basically his testimony and all about his life. So, Coach, I just want you, without further ado, I just want you to hop in.
Well, thanks for having me again, man. You know, anytime that I get the opportunity to share my testimony, it's just a great opportunity for, God to bless somebody somehow. And I always tell people when they're sharing their testimony, just don't worry about what you have to say. Just pray that God gives you the words, and whatever you say is going to be a blessing. And the crazy thing about sharing your testimony is it's never the same. It's the story is the same, but the way you deliver it and kind of how it impacts people is always different. But I guess we'll take it back, man. Just growing up in a single parent house with my biological mother, and she we were very nomadic. I was born in Austin, Texas, and I think when I was a year or two, something like that, we moved to Oklahoma. And so I was in Oklahoma, all the way until I was in second grade. But I was all over the place because during that stint in Oklahoma, I moved to New Mexico and then I moved back. And so I think in the span of whenever you could start, I guess, Head Start all the way up to second grade, man, I had been to probably 8 or 9 different schools and just always on the move, And so we, when our time in Arizona and New Mexico stopped, we ended up moving to Arizona, and I spent my 3rd and 4th and 5th grade year there in school before moving back to Texas in 6th grade. And so just being out there, she was with this guy, I guess, when I was like 2. Great guy. I mean, obviously he took care of us, but when we were in Arizona, when I was in 4th grade, she had left, I guess in search for work or something. I don't know. See, the thing about my biological mother is she wasn't like a druggie. She wasn't an alkie. She just, for some reason, just couldn't keep a job, man. And it wasn't that she wasn't able to. I just think there was always some kind of complication. She suffered from MS, which is a disease that just attacks a lot of different things. And I don't know if that was the reason. I never really took the time to ask her, but she was never really around for me to do that, And so, but she left, and I was kind of staying with this guy. And obviously I never called him dad, just his name was Donnie. So I called him that, and, but, when she left, man, when you talk about feeling alone and you feel like not having anybody, and the town that I was at was big. It had a Mormon church, probably the biggest church I've ever seen in my entire life, where that church ran the entire town. The preacher, if you've ever seen the movie Footloose, it was kind of like that. Everything went through that church, and stuff like that. And so I just felt really alone, man, and didn't feel like I had anybody. The only thing I really had was sports, and so I was really involved with sports there. But the thing that was crazy is, man, we lived probably 3-4 miles from the school. And, as a youth, when you're in 4th grade, 5th grade, because in 5th grade there you could play for the school. So it was kind of weird, but they had a league that the school could play in. But I would find myself having to walk to and from games, to and from practices. Sometimes I would just, when school ended, I would just, if practice didn't start till 6, I would just sit there and just hang out, at the school and just, that kind of thing. And so it was difficult for me. I remember, playing basketball but not having shorts or shoes to do so. So I had some busted up, they're probably Fila's or Fubu or something like that, and I had to take sweats and cut them, or jeans and cut them. And so, I was always embarrassed just because I was just all these kids have these things and I don't, but I never I think something crazy, like a gift that God gave me was just like, I never was like, felt sorry for myself. I was just always like, this is just what I have to deal with, And so there's a family there that kind of just noticed that I was struggling and they kind of just helped me out with that stuff. But anyways, so a year and a half passes and my biological mother comes back and it was just like, hey, I found a work, and I found this guy. I was just like, what do you mean he found this guy? But, whatever, and so fifth grade, packing up again. So at that point, man, I tell you, I had probably been from all the way up till, obviously I stayed in one spot from third to fifth grade, but I'd moved a whole bunch. Like, even though I was in that one spot, like in that school, I moved a whole bunch, and so ended up moving back to Texas, man. And when I got here, DeLeon is where I'm from, and it's a very, very small town outside of Stephenville, Texas. It's got 2 red lights, 2 blinking lights. It's got a Subway, if that means anything, and a Dollar General, so that's cool. And but it, it's it's 2,500 people, 2A. But the cool thing about that town and those small towns is, man, like on Friday nights when you're playing that game, like everybody's at that game that's from that town, and that's really sweet. So, but when I first got there, man, like that was the first time in my entire life where I felt like something was going to be constant. Something was I wouldn't have to worry about getting up and changing, because that's where a lot of my like my relationship issues came from with people, is like, why take the time to get to know you if I'm just going to leave? So I was very to myself always, and so even when I first got the DeLeon, it was the same way, and there was a couple friends who I had that really took me in, right off the bat. But, they weren't I wouldn't say they were bad, because they're not, but they were just doing a lot of things that I know that weren't what I needed to do. But when you don't have people show you attention and they finally do, then you're not going to sit there and downplay what they're doing. So when they offer you anything or they say, let's do this, you just, okay, yeah, for sure, I'm there, and so kind of a peer pressure thing, but at the same time, just wanted that attention. So we moved back, and through that whole time, man, like I always had a problem staying at home. Like I never felt like I really ever belonged, so like I would always, be with a friend and be like, hey, ask your mom if I can stay tonight or whatever, just because I just didn't want to be at home, man. Like, and I never knew why. And still to this day, I never really understood why I wanted to be that way. But maybe that was God's way of just giving me a feeling of like, hey, like I'm going to take care of you. But in the midst of all this, like here are some people that can watch out for you, and all this other stuff. And so anyways, just fast forwarding, man, when I first got the DeLeon, bro, like I was the only person in the entire town of any kind of African-American descent. And I'm only half, I still claim that half, shout out to my people, but at the same time, I got called the N-word, bro. I would get bullied so bad, and it was terrible. But who was I going to turn to? And so I had the friends who I really got to know were the Hispanics. Well, this particular family in DeLeon, no one messed with. You just didn't mess with them. So they took me under their wing, man, and like kind of took care of me. And so like anytime I had a problem with like a boy or something, like obviously it was always the people that were like massive, the big giant, overweight guys who pick on the little tiny prey. And it was those guys. And a lot of people I feel like get threatened by anything that's different and that might be a challenge of them. Because here's what people didn't understand is like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I was pretty good at sports. And there's a lot of people who got mad when I would take people's spots. And it wasn't even their spot I was taking. It was their friend. And they felt like their friend should be playing. Well, at the same time, if your friend's not better than the person that's playing, then that's your friend's fault for not being good, And so, like, what are you going to do to get better, And so anyways, all that stuff was happening, man. And I felt like God was, he was just telling me like, hey, I prepared you for this, you're strong enough, and so he was just, I got really good at ignoring things. And so and it was crazy. The craziest thing ever is when I finally just stopped letting it affect me and letting them see that it affected me, bro, it just stopped out of nowhere. And here's the other crazy thing. when I started playing sports, bro, in Dilion, like, and people started seeing I was good, their whole outlook and their way they treated me completely changed. And I know why it did, but at the same time, like, I was starting to get people to pay attention to me and all this other stuff, and it started feeling good, but just do all that stuff happening, man. It was just, always felt like I was left out, or different, and so, obviously just hung out with, the people who showed me the attention, that always treated me fairly, but they weren't doing the best of things, and so I was smoking weed and drinking on a regular basis. I really didn't mess with any hardcore stuff, because I was always scared to. And thank God he gave me that feeling of being scared, But the thing is, they never pressured me into it, And so I was just like, man, these are my people. Well, anyways, fast forward. So, my biological mother's in and out of work. We ended up moving all over the place. In Dilion, I'm pretty sure we lived in probably 10 houses. All the way up until my sophomore year. And so basically my sophomore year comes, leading up into my sophomore year, man, like I'd say probably in June or July of 2004. I guess that's when that was. But anyways, our electricity goes out, right? And so we don't have electricity. Well, obviously electricity, if you look at it, it's probably like, what, 130 a month, something like that. We went 6 months without electricity, bro, no hot water. And so what was ended up happening is, like, those summers during in Texas are hot, bro. So when you don't have air conditioning, it is tough. It is tough to go to sleep. You don't have a fan because you don't have electricity. It is tough to go to sleep. And so, we were having to go, like, I would go and take showers at, like, the neighbor's house or whatever like that. But man, for me, I was just like, this is so dumb. Like, you can't provide at least that, And so there I go again, just living with different people, And, I went back because I was just like, this is kind of where I need to be. But one night, I guess, because everything we had, man, we just, it was lit by candlelight, And one night I'm just asleep, bro, probably covered in sweat, whatever. And, I wake up to a lot of commotion, man, and there's nothing but smoke, right? So what ended up happening my sophomore year, man, is like everything I had growing up, like pictures, just any kind of thing that I like valued, just from all the years of moving and stuff, man, just up in flames. So in the blink of an eye, bro, it's gone. And everything is burnt, right? And it's about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, bro. And so, our head coach at the time was really good about, he got a lot of stuff for me, and just hooked me up with everything that I needed, and so, like, I guess my father figure throughout all those years were my coaches, just because for some reason they were always there, and so they didn't have to be, and so they ended up that happened. So I was just like, you know what, it's just not fair. I don't know what's going on or why. And that's the first time in my life where I still started, like, playing the victim a little bit, just why me? Was just, I do right by people, all this other stuff. Well, anyways, man, so I was really good friends with this guy named Joseph Cisneroz, and we played ball together. I had stayed with his family the previous summer, just in and out. But there was I think my junior year of Thanksgiving, I didn't have nowhere to go, and so I was just like, hey, can you ask your parents, is it okay if I join you? I don't have anywhere to go. And he was like, yes. And if anybody knows my parents, man, they're the most giving. And that's when I tell people right now, like, my parents are the people who took me in, and so, but anyways, they were like, yeah, for sure. We'd be more than happy to have him, like, tell him to come on. So I went, man. And, like, what's crazy is I went to their Thanksgiving with him, and I felt like that was it. Like, that's where I belonged. Like, out of all my years, 17 years of living, that was the first time I felt like I was actually where I was meant to be, and so that ended up happening. And then so I kind of started moving my stuff over there. I didn't have a lot, but I kind of moved my stuff over there, and then, like, I just kind of never left. And, you know, there was a time when my dad, you know, was going to go talk to my biological mother and about me kind of going back. And not that he didn't want me there, but he's really big about relationships and family, like, and that you need to. And so he went over there to her, to where she was staying and was like about to get out the truck, man. And he said that he felt like an overwhelming feeling. And God just came over and was just like, hey, like, he's where he needs to be. He's your child now. Like, I want you to take care of him. And he said that, man, he froze. Like, he couldn't do anything. And so he left and came back, shared that story. And it was just like, it was a wrap, man. And then the thing that was crazy is, you know, going into my senior year, obviously the adoption process is extensive. And just with school and all that stuff, financial aid and everything, it would have just made it real murky. And I didn't want to make their lives more complicated. But paper or no paper, man, that's my family. You know what I mean? Regardless. And nothing's going to ever change that. But when I was about to turn 18, we went to court. I kind of just one night shared with them, like, I just really feel like this is where I need to be. I thank you guys so much. And I've been praying, and I think I need to become a Cisneroz. Like, how do you feel about me taking your name? Because it used to be Williams, you know? So the biggest challenge on that was trying to learn how to write Cisneroz after writing Williams for so long. That was tough, you know? But anyway, so that ended up happening, bro. And, you know, we had our moment. We kind of sobbed a little bit, but man, like, I don't think it really hit me how good God was. Like, I was blessed the whole time. Like, I started going to church on a regular basis, and not because they were going and I had to go, because they had created these core values and these things in life that you want to strive for. And I really started believing in that, wanting it for myself. So I started going to church on a regular basis, getting really involved in youth and stuff like that, man. And then, you know, all that stuff ended up happening. And, you know, we were playing one game one night, and the announcer was just like, hey, do you want to go ahead and just use, you know, Cisneroz now? And I said, of course. Like, why do you even have to ask that question? Like, I'm not a Williams anymore. I threw that passed away, you know, and that's not what I'm focused on anymore. And so I don't think it really hit me until, like, I think we ran counter. My senior year, we ran counter probably 60 times a game, I feel like, because it was always counter, but it worked for us, you know. And so we ran counter, and I think I scored probably a 60, 70-yard run or whatever. And they were like, an LC Cisneroz with the touchdown. And, like, when I heard that, bro, like, I just started, like, bawling, bro. Like, I was just like, I cannot believe how good God was and how he blessed me with so much. And because I never thought I was worthy, you know what I mean, of a blessing. I just felt like that was the life I was dealt, and I just had to deal with it. And no one's going to feel sorry for me, so why feel sorry for myself? You know, and so all this stuff happened. But, yeah, man, my parents still to this day, they never missed any of my games in high school. That's every sport that you play, football, basketball, baseball, and track. And then when I went to Hardin-Simmons and played football there, they never missed a game. I mean, I'm talking like Mississippi College, Louisiana College, going up to playing in Washington, Oregon, and Wisconsin. Like, there was always someone there, because at the time, when I was a freshman in college, my older sister, Rachel, she was playing basketball for Hardin-Simmons as well. So, like, and my younger sister was playing basketball in Dillon. So it was just like, it didn't matter. Sometimes my parents slept separate ways to go to different games, but there was always someone present. And that's what, like, I love so much about that family, is it didn't matter where you were at. Like, they were going to show you unconditional love, and they were going to support you no matter what. And it was awesome, because I have all kinds of pictures of, like, Saturday games. And, because me and my sister struggled with the whole thing of me kind of jumping into the family, because she kind of felt like at first I was trying to take over. And I didn't want to, my intentions weren't that at all. I just wanted to feel like I belonged, and so I got to spend time with my younger sister, because when I first moved in, she was in sixth grade. So, like, sixth and seventh grade, I spent with her. Joseph, I just played with, so we were always tight, but I never got to really build a relationship with my sister Rachel. But So that was what and I wanted her approval so bad, bro. I know I did a lot of things. I went about it the wrong way a lot. But like to this day, we're still working on it. But man, if you can see where we're at now versus where we started, you wouldn't even believe it, you know? But the fact that like when after those Saturday games, bro, when like you get done playing, cause you really don't know who's all there. You're just focused on the game. It's game time. And, you know, you see them after the game and they've got like custom jerseys or like with your number and your name on the back. Like, and it's like, there's like 25 of them there and they all came to see you, bro. Like, come on now, you know? And I know a lot of people don't get that. And that's why, like, I took it so serious. Like, and so it's still to this day with, you know, having a kid of my own now and having a wife, like, I never want my daughter to ever worry about not having someone there to support her. And so I think God put me through all that situation to, one, make me durable, to make me tough, but at the same time really appreciate the good things that happen in your life, you know. And so, you know, like getting to meet you is a blessing. Anytime I get to meet people, man, just and chop it up about anything, like it's an opportunity for me to create something new and something long lasting, because I don't talk to people. I'm not an air filler. I don't just try to fill people up with air. If I invest in you and I talk to you, it's because I truly want to build a relationship, and not one that's just temporary, one that's long standing. So that's why I'm real serious about the people I mess with, you know, because I wouldn't want someone to just talk to me and then you know, not mean anything they said with no substance, you know what I mean? And so, but yeah, man, so fast forward, you know, it's been, I guess I was 16 and I'm 31. So this November will be 15 years that I've been with that family, and it'll be 13 years that I've been a Cisneroz, man. And it's been awesome, but I am the way I am today, and I am where I'm at today only because of the good Lord and because of an amazing family who, you know, that just always supported me. You know, when you get an opportunity, Coach Nash, man, like I want you to come meet, you know, my parents, you know, Jennifer and Greg, and then my sister and all of them. You know, there's a lot now, you know, because they got husband, they got spouses and kids, but Rachel, Joseph, and Micah, man, are my siblings. And then, you know, they've been patient with me because it wasn't easy. It was not easy, man, because I was a mess, bro, you know. But and that's why I believe that like the power of love is so important, man. And it's so, it changes. And if you just would take the opportunity to get to know somebody and just love them, you know, the way that you would want to be loved, then the world we live in would be completely different. But people are blind to it, man. And people do not want to change. Yeah. People are so fixated in what they're doing that they do not want to change. And it makes me sick, man, because you know what? Like, how could you, Coach Nash, when I first met you, how would that make you feel if I was like, you know what? I don't even know you, but I don't like you. Yeah. And this is what you'd say. How can you not like somebody that you don't know? And that's what really happened to me when I was growing up. And the place I grew up, man, is people didn't like me and they didn't even know me. And once you get to know somebody, you understand maybe that's why they act that way. Maybe they're not a jerk. Maybe they're not trying to think they're better than people, but maybe they've been through so much that they're so closed in, man, and their walls are so built, they're so tall that they're not going to let anybody in. And it takes a lot to get someone to admit those type of things. But what do you have to do for that to happen? You have to get to know them. You have to give it an opportunity. And so that's why all this stuff you see going on in the world right now, people are just judging based off what they see and not what they know. You know what I mean? And so it's tough, you know, being in a place where there's not a lot of diversity. You know, it's tough to really get that point across, you know. But here in Cleveland, man, like, you know, we don't have a lot of African American in our student body, and so, but the ones we do, they're just as important as anybody else. And and they need that love from us. You know, they need that support. You know, because you know a lot of them do, and not just those kids. There's a lot of kids that we coach. You know this, that don't have much, and
Absolutely.
they might come to practice every morning at 6 and not eat anything that night, not have anything to eat that morning, and they're giving everything they can in practice. And unless you take the time to get to know them and understand their story, you might get mad because you feel like they're not going hard enough. Maybe they're giving everything they have, and that's it. That's all they have. You know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm. And
that's the real reason why that's the
you
real
know,
reason why we should even be in this profession, is to really get back to these kids anyways, man. You know?
that's it. And you know, that's funny you say that, man. One of my favorite things I learned from a coach, man, probably my first year coaching back in '06, was that the hurt player, the lazy player, the unmotivated player, and the unprepared player all look alike. So we have to be able to decipher which is which. And sometimes
Yep.
the unmotivated player is unmotivated because he didn't have anything to eat before he got there. He had to stay up all night and watch his baby sister while mom had to work all night. You know, you never know what these kids are going through. So just your story alone makes me want to ask you this question, because uh, I know already that you're a heck of a coach. And you know why? I may have seen one game that you coached in, maybe way back in the day. But as a outsider looking in, the way that you care about each individual that you come across, that you genuinely build a relationship with. I know you do that with these kids. So tell me this: how does your past affect the way that you coach right now?
I think it makes me really appreciate just everything about it. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
coach, listen, I want to win
Yeah.
just as much as the next guy.
Uh-huh.
And but at the end of the day, man, like if we're striving to be, um, you know, in God's image, and if we're striving to really um, be more like Him, more Christ-like, then it's not about the wins and losses. And victories come in more ways than just a game, you know. And I think just being there for those kids and just letting them know that, you know, you might not have the support you feel like you want, but there are people that care for you, because that's literally all I wanted growing up, man, is just someone to show they cared. That was it. Like, even if it was one person that genuinely cared, it probably would have changed a lot of different things. Obviously, you know, people are there for support, but you can tell the difference between someone who's really invested in you and someone who's just there because it's convenient or it's
Mm-hmm.
their job. You know what I mean? And I think just my past helped prepare me to just be able to withstand the hard times. Like my first season here in Cleveland, going 0-10. You
Mm-hmm.
know, anybody that's ever experienced that, you know, God bless you. You know, because it is tough. You know, but just being able to withstand the storms, and you know, and just being able to find out and kind of really appreciate and celebrate the little victories. You know, of a kid finally running a route correctly, or a kid in class finally understanding something, or maybe you're watching film and a kid says something before you have to say it, and you're sitting back just like, man, that is so awesome that they're finally understanding what's going on. You know, just to see the culture change. You know, Coach Water, man, we came here to Cleveland, man, it was so messed up, bro. And he's done such a phenomenal job of really trying to change the culture to get these kids just to believe, because you know just as well as me is if you can get 22 kids on a Friday night to believe in each other and that they're going to be able to do great things, like that's a scary team. You know what I mean? On any given night, you know. I think just that's kind of how it prepared me. You know, just being tough, learning to appreciate all the good, even in the bad times. Always just try to find something, even if everything seems so bad. What happened that was even a little bit positive that I can focus on to help change my mood? Because, you know, I don't really get mad often, bro. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason for me to waste my energy and time being mad. Like, if I could spend it, you know, trying to become a better person and maybe helping somebody else. I'm not gonna tell you I don't get. I'm not gonna tell you I don't get angry, because I do. I get angry like a lot, but I'm saying like I don't stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's more of a like let me be angry, but I'm not gonna ever take it out on anybody, you know, or anything like that. So it's this is what I was meant to do, man. Because when I graduated college, bro, I moved to Houston and I worked in sales. So
Uh-huh.
I was in corporate America selling first aid and safety equipment,
Ooh.
in the heart of Houston. You know, and anybody that's ever been down there knows that it's all oil and gas, and safety and first aid is huge. It's a huge market. And I was working hours, suit and tie, installing stuff sometimes, like just, and all for what, man? Like, you know, I obviously had a salary, what was low, like 30 grand. So everything if I wanted to eat or survive, like I had to sell. So I just felt like a predator, bro. Like I was always chasing something. And, you know, it wasn't a good feeling. And I lasted about 18 months in it before I really felt like God was like, you need to quit this. You need to go back home, because what ended up happening is I left the company's name was Cisneroz. I left that company and moved back to Arlington with my sister and them. My sister was teaching and my brother was teaching and coaching. They were both at Mansfield Lake Ridge.
Yeah.
So I moved back with them like in April. And I was kind of just so lost, bro. Like I just had what do I do now? How do I even get started in this career path, you know? And I started working for Mansfield's maintenance department. And I started doing that. And then I had a friend of mine reach out and say, hey, there's this company, the Alternative Certification Program called ECAP, which is in North Richland Hills. And they're like, you should seek it out. And so I did it. And then like, it was crazy because I didn't expect, because a lot of people, especially like a lot of schools that are up in that area that have money and everything like that, they typically won't take someone in as a teacher unless you have a certification already. And for me, I had just got started in that alternative certification in like April of 2014. And I ended up just doing the coursework. And then I just applied I had a friend hit me up and say, hey, there's this job at Grapevine Middle School. You should apply for it. So I applied for it, man, not thinking anything, because I was like, I just got started in this program. Like I literally have been in this program for 2 months and I'm going for this, man. And I just go, I don't know. I've never been in Grapevine. I don't know what it looks like, but it was nice. It was really nice. And I went in there and just talked with that principal and just shared my heart, man, and just told him how much I wasn't trying to fill in with smoke to get a job. This is how I am. This is what I feel about these kids and how important it is that they grow and succeed. And so from Arlington to Mansfield, when there's no traffic on 360, or not Mansfield, from Arlington to Grapevine, it takes probably like 30 minutes, 35 minutes or something like that. Man, I left after that interview, and as I was pulling back into my sister's house, I got a phone call, and I was like, who is this? It said Grapevine on call ID. And basically what ended up happening was she said, hey, we love you. You know, everything you said was great. We want to offer you a contract. You kidding me, bro?
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so I just got an alternative certification program. I haven't taught, I didn't student teach, anything like that. And I got a job working at Grapevine Middle School, and kind of just, and the way it works up there is they've got 4 middle schools in Grapevine, Colleyville ISD, and 2 middle schools, like Cross Timbers is one, and I think Heritage Middle School. Those go to those 2 schools. But Grapevine Middle School and then Colleyville Middle School, they're like a split. So like our demographics at Grapevine Middle School were like 30%. We're going to go to Grapevine, and 70, we're going to go to Colleyville. It was weird how all that stuff worked. I didn't know about it, but anyways, I got fortunate enough to work with Coach Randy Jackson, who's the head coach at North Forney right now. And so basically I got to work with him and those guys. And man, I tell you what, like I tell everybody all the time, like if you're going to get an education, it's always great to start at the junior high level, just to kind of get appreciation for the grind. And then move up to the varsity level when it's your time, you know. But I appreciated it, and I always had talks with him like, I don't want to stay at the middle school level. I want to be varsity coach Friday nights. And he was just like, all right, well, these are the things you got to do. You know, you have to show up. And so, man, like we have games. We had 3 teams on 7th grade and 3 teams on 8th grade. And we played Monday, 7th graders. Tuesday night, we played the 8th graders. Thursday night we'd have JV games, so I'd be up there. Friday night we'd have some kind of responsibility for the varsity. Saturday I was up there watching film with them. I didn't have to be. I was just there. Or I'm presenting the scouting report, you know. And then Sunday I didn't have anything, but I was always up there. And so what ended up happening, he left and went to North Forney. The receivers coach at the time, his name's Michael Ludlow. He ended up going and getting the OC job at Marshall in East Texas. And, man, I'm just telling you, the only reason why because he worked receivers, and that's what I was helping with. And I was up there all the time asking questions. And the only reason, like, he reached out and said, hey, here's the opportunity for you to come to varsity level. You know, are you interested? At the time I was single. I wasn't married. So I was like, absolutely. Like, where is it? And he's at East Texas. And I was like, I'm there. But the only reason he offered that is because, you know, I put in the work doing that stuff. But it's a lot of stuff that, like, you don't want to do. It's a lot. You know, you have your responsibilities plus a whole bunch of other ones. And so that's how I got, you know, into – you know, I know I took your question and went straight with it. And then I just veered left like crazy.
No, I'm with you.
That's what got me to the varsity level, and it's because of Michael Ludlow that I'm at where I'm at right now, because he really invested in me as a coach and just took me under his wing and really kind of groomed me, you know. So I like everything that I have. Like there's a lot of people that I've learned from, and a lot of people that have helped me. Like it's a lot, but the foundation of where I started came from Michael Ludlow, you know, and so. Now, he's a huge staple. He'll always forever be a good friend of mine. But that's just kind of where it is. And I feel like every coach has that person that really went out of their way to invest in them. And so that's that. Sorry about that.
No, that's perfect. No, I'm right there with you, man. It's one of those things where once you're getting in, the people who invest in you, they teach you how to invest in others. And so you mature as a coach, and as you get, 10, 15 years in the game, you'll have a coach that you're mentoring. And that's that circle of life happens, man. And again, that goes back to your past, and my past is different but very similar as far as having a rough upbringing in the beginning. But it was those that took care of me when I was young, that raised me up the way I should go. And so when you get old, you don't depart from it. You keep raising other people up as it needs to be. I say this, man, my favorite quote, I don't even know when I first heard it, but I live by it, is be who you needed when you were younger. And so any situation, I think you and I are a lot alike in that as well. You get upset, but you don't stay upset because you're who you needed when you were younger. And these kids need guys like you. So, I mean, Coach, you just blessed. I've heard your story. In fact, I've heard it twice. But this third time that I'm hearing it now, I heard something completely new, the way it was delivered. Just like you said it, every time you tell your testimony, it's something new. And so I get something new from it every single time. And it's truly been a blessing. This is going to bless our listeners. And brother, you just blessed me again. So I appreciate it.
And I will say this though, man, like there's a lot of people who don't go out of their, it's not even a pride thing. It's just they're maybe scared to say something and be judged. And I just encourage anybody that's got a story. Everybody has a story. So just share it. Like you have no idea who might need to hear what you have to say, to maybe it might save them. But at the same time, the relationship part, why I'm so big on it is because I know how important those are and I know where it can take you. And that's why my network, I'm not meeting people and getting to know people because I want something from them. I just know that it's gonna help at some point because I know somebody take me somewhere. You know what I mean? And so I just encourage everybody to step out of their comfort zone and out of their little circle of friends and just get to know different people because, I mean, there's a lot of great people out there, and, once you take time and invest in them, man, you're always going to have that connection and that network. And you know as well as me, in this game that we call football and in this profession we call teaching and coaching, it is 100% about who you know, okay, versus what you know. And someone can say what they want about that, but if you know people and they know you're a good person, they're going to take opportunity and chance on you versus, you have these great grades or whatever, these certifications. No, they're going to take a bet on the people that they feel like they can trust and that they really know. And so step out of your comfort zone, get to know people, and share your story, man, because someone's waiting to be blessed by it.
100%, man. Gosh, you hit the nail on the head right there, man. Now, Coach, this is how we wrap up every episode. So this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. And 30 for 30 always has these really neat taglines like 30 for 30, the U, 30 for 30, broke. This is LC Cisneroz' 30 for 30. So what's your title?
Encouraged.
I love it. I love it. Encouraged. That's what you are, and that's what you're giving us today, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Coach, I appreciate everything, and man, I look forward to keeping in touch with you. I know we got a lot to talk about here very soon, so
yeah, no, you ain't lying.
Keep doing what you're doing, man.
No doubt.
Yes, sir. This has been 30 for 30 with Coach Cisneroz.